My wonderful, beautiful, amazing Pisces for this week, or even, yeah, the end, even though you're the last but never the least of all zodiac signs, I'm doing the Dracula theme, Vlad Dracula tarot reading in the form of the 11 card spread. On the icon or the thumbnail, because I have still no idea what a thumbnail is, because technically I have two thumbnails, so even then I have no idea what thumbnails are all about. But in that little tiny picture, you'll be able to see how this 11 card Vlad Dracula and tarot cross has been spread out and stuff like that. I'm not going to be talking about the subtitles of any of these cards because, I will only just do like the basic cards. Like, for example, number one, you do get the Eight of Swords, and I'm not going to be talking about Vlad led to Hungarian captivity. But anyway, I will talk about the importance of each card number. So, for example, for card number one, which is considered the significator, this forms the base of the cross. Everything in this reading will be built upon this foundation. Okay, so what do we know about the Eight of Swords as kind of the crux or the base of the entire reading for today? Is you feel stuck and directionless. Okay, well, it's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows for everybody, and I'm sorry if you're the one who's struggling and suffering in current times. But sometimes, it's like these are, usually, moments that we learn from to try to avoid for any kind of future references, for any kind of, like, how would you say it, cautionary tales for that matter. But something is kind of holding you back. Something is making you feel like you're just stuck. You just pretty much just think, I have no idea how to get out of this situation. Maybe it's a negative relationship. Maybe it's a toxic work environment. Well, maybe it's just that you feel kind of lost and confused about any kind of upcoming events or any kind of endeavors for that matter. Maybe you just retired and now you just think, well, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do for the rest of my time right now. What do I do? And that could also make anybody feel like they're kind of stuck and, and just thinking, goodness, how do I get out of this, this position where I just feel directionless. What am I supposed to do? Just sit at home, go outside for walks, stuff like that. Because if you're used to a certain routine and suddenly it's just, you cut off or broken, then suddenly it causes one to make, to think, oh goodness, what happened and what could this have been, avoided or whatever it is and stuff like that. But anyway, it is a general reading, so it doesn't have to be resonating for all Pisces for that matter. So hopefully, that'll be just, the positive aspect of that. But anyway, we get to number two. You get the Ace of Swords of putting time and effort into something. And crossing the significator, this card represents the challenges that will have to be overcome in order to achieve the desired outcome. Now, exactly, you need to actually release yourself from feeling, to feel to feel directionless, but you could also feel disorganized. But if you feel directionless, you're going to have to be the one to get yourself out of this situation, and there's really no other person who's ever going to be able to save you. Because the thing is if you're put in a position that you think, oh goodness, like let's say that you fell into like a cemetery, like one of those cemetery rectangle holes and stuff like that. What are they called? But anyway, and there's nobody around to help you out. The only person that can get you out of a situation like that is sadly you and you alone, unless you can wait till, any other person till the next day. But in those situations, it's entirely up to you how you get yourself out of any kind of stuck situation. If you're in a very toxic environment, I would try to get out of it as quickly as possible. If you're in a very toxic relationship, I would really get out of it as soon as possible. Because the thing is why should you allow yourself to be stuck and feeling like, oh goodness, I have nowhere to go. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Well, because it's all about, putting time and effort. But of course, easier said than done. Of course, here goes Miss Gabriella going on her, oh yeah, it's everything. It's just, just do as I say and stuff like that. No. Because the key theme of today's reading for all zodiac signs and even for you is experience. You grow and learn by experience. It's like if you've been in any kind of like situation that you already had to get yourself out before, maybe trying to learn from those past moments, like even with the High Priestess with her upper book of knowledge, to say, how did I do this before and how can I get out of this again? And the thing is sometimes these new experiences either take time, but this is also pretty much a growing and learning moment where you can actually say, okay, it's like I feel kind of like you're in a toxic work environment and you want to resign or you want to quit, but your boss won't allow you to. The thing is either look into legal matters, maybe ask your friends or maybe even co-workers or whoever you trust the most. That's the most important. It doesn't even have to be your friends or family, but whoever you trust the most to say, how do I get out of this situation? I want to leave. I don't want to deal with any more toxic, frustrations anymore and stuff like that. So it's pretty much a learning and growing and experience moment in your current life for that matter. Okay. Then we get to card number 3. Oof. 3 of Swords, one of the cards I pulled for the vampire. So this shows the skill or ability that you will need to have in order to achieve the desired outcome. Now, I think I mentioned this to Leo, so maybe you will have a Leo or maybe you have Leo placements, but I think Leo also had to struggle, or maybe it was Cancer or Virgo for that matter. But sometimes this skill is having to go back to the moments, where your heart was broken the first time, second, third, fifth time, what have you. My metaphor for those memories is kind of like the graveyard of memories, where you have to go back and grab your shovel, and then you have to go through any of these, graveyards and just think, okay, it's kind of like revisiting, past negative memories for that matter. And it's pretty much just thinking, okay, I need to get out of the situation, but what did I learn from the first time to get out of the situation? What did I do to escape the first dangerous, toxic, situation in my life? And so, sad but true, sometimes you do actually have to go back to the moments where you either experience the same moment or something similar. And of course, it's heartbreaking to have to go back and think, well, why should I do this? It just puts me in a really negative mood and makes me feel depressed and unhappy. But sometimes those experience memories can definitely benefit you from actually, saying, okay, now I know how I can actually overcome this next obstacle and stuff like that. And it's all just based off of experience. They can be positive experiences from the past or negative, heartbreaking moments like the 3 of Swords. Sad but true. Number 4, you get 9 of Swords. Okay, nightmares. So this is the first bar of the cross, forming the basis of future and past events. A specific card represents present circumstances. Yes, you're suffering and struggling in a nightmare situation, and I'm so beyond sorry if you're actually suffering during these negative times and stuff like that, because I feel like that nobody should ever be suffering in any situation at all. But yet, okay, so this card showed up. It's like you have to revisit, the 3 of Swords. You feel like you're stuck. You feel like you're just in a negative patch right now. Okay. Hopefully just temporarily. But it could also just be learning moments from experience where you actually have to go through some of these metaphorical thunderstorms to actually think, okay, it's like, if you're, if it's only just, sunshine and rainbows, okay, too much sun can, dry out your crops, your idea children, your anything and stuff like that. But too much rain could also cause, one to drown or feel overwhelmed or whatever it may be. So if you're just, hopefully this is just a temporary storm that you just have to weather through, and it's just only a situation of maybe in current times that you feel like you're in a negative situation. But be rest assured that either somebody on a parallel scale in any part of this world is probably also experiencing maybe a nightmare situation. So just remember that you're either A, not alone, but B, these situations do tend to pass eventually. So it's not like it's going to be an endless, unless you are in a really chronic major problem that you just think, nope, it's just only, Nightmareville for me till the rest of my times and stuff like that. I mean, hopefully not. But, and that's the best way I can actually try to help with the situation. And then you get the 5th card, 4 of Swords. Okay, so you're in need of rest, which is very crucial for any kind of healing. So this is the second bar of the cross. It shows the highest possible outcome and is an indication of what will be. That's what I'm talking about. This is pretty much just a temporary storm you're just going to be weathering through. And eventually, what either you're going to do is you're going to go back to bed, and then you'll wake up and everything is just going to be all sunshine and rainbows the next day. But this is also in the future, at least in the future, or the possible outcomes that you're actually going to be just kind of resting up and healing and recovering from any kind of negative circumstance or nightmare for that matter. So eventually you will heal. You will actually need to rest up because it takes a lot of energy to process either grief, heartbreak, past negative memories, nightmares, negative events for that matter. But take excellent good care of yourself. Eat healthy. Do whatever it takes is to keep yourself in a positive mindset. But of course, it's easier said than done. But that's why experience is pretty much, the best way I can actually explain what the common theme for everybody is for this week. Okay, then we get cards 6 and 7. 6 is about the immediate future. You get 7 of Swords, And in the past, you get 5 of Swords. Okay, so 7 of Swords in the immediate future is that you could potentially deal with either a really good, excellent strategy and plan to get yourself out of this situation because in the past you actually overcame some real big battle with the 5 of Swords. But it could also be on a negative scale that the 7 of Swords is dealing with a potential upcoming con artist or deceptive individual or maybe some fake future event, that could be taking place. But what I love even in the past is that you got 5 of Swords. You have that fight within you. You're not just only a guppy or a goldfish or a tiny little anything in the sea. No, you could be seen as this big blue whale, the great white shark, or even the megalodon for all I know. But the thing is that, it's like, this is where your experience is going to be actually guiding you towards the immediate future. So, it's all just about experience and learning from the past. Sad but true. That's the best way I could just more or less formulate today or even this week's reading, is it's pretty much learning from the past. Now, for example, with me, I can't, redo my past. I can't relive. But if anybody ever experiences this dark deity that enters their store, their tarot shop or something, the best way I can think of is if you will sense any kind of negativity, just run out there and ask for help or support or guidance, but don't really feel like that you need to actually be around to, offer any kind of assistance to anybody who wants a fake tarot reading. I mean, that's kind of, my cautionary tale for you all out in this world, but I'm sure that probably wouldn't benefit you. But that's kind of like my experience is that if something, listen to your intuition, because that's where I was kind of wrong and where I didn't, process it all too well in other ways because I didn't listen to my senses and intuition all too much because I was just a naive young girl that pretty much just was so intrigued and maybe entranced by that vampire. But my senses and intuition were way smarter than what I was actually thinking and believing because they were just saying, Gabriella, leave. And then I was just thinking, oh my goodness, who is this person? He looks kind of a bit creepy, but there's just something about him that makes me just want to move in closer. Yep, curiosity did kill the cat, didn't it? But anyway, it's all about experiences for you guys. So then we get card 8 and 9. So 8 is the distant future. You get 10 of Cups. Okay, happy home, happy earth, happy family. And then in the distant past, you get 7 of Cups of options and opportunities. Now that's what I'm talking about. This is again a combination of experience because the thing is if you want to achieve the desired result of the 10 of Cups, happy home, happy hearth, happy family, abundance, but also confidence within yourself. So these are options and opportunities that that were actually being presented to you in the past. And those are like your experience lessons, and those are more like moments where you actually either experience the 3 of Swords of heartbreak or any kind of negative event or circumstance. But these are also options to kind of help you process and understand in other ways to say, how can you actually improve for the next time? And if you want to have the 10 of Cups, choose, any of these cups in a wise manner and use your senses and intuition and just think, okay, what did I learn and how can I improve for the next phase or any kind of upcoming event or any kind of choices or options or crossroads in the future. Because then we get to the final row of 10 and 11. You get 4 of Cups for card number 10 and Ace of Cups for number 11. So, and these complement the top bar and provide increased illumination concerning the future outcome as indicated by this entire reading. Together, these cards show a complete picture of the final outcome or answer connected with the question. So the thing is, you're probably going to be offered, any kind of new offering or beginning, but there's hesitation involved. Wonderful that your senses are sharp as nails or as canines for that matter, because the thing is, it's like, don't fall for just any kind of beautiful Ace of Cups and say, here you go. Doesn't it look shiny and beautiful? I mean, it's also called Vlad's Golden Chalice. It's golden. Remember that. Isn't that pretty? No, don't fall for such trifles. Don't fall for such, cheap, talks or any kind of like commercials for that matter. Say that it's a golden chalice. Don't you want to have a golden chalice? Well, who wouldn't? But is it actually going to be benefiting you? That's the main question here. So I do see this beautiful offering taking place, but I know that there's hesitation involved because of your past, negative experiences. But usually those are the healthiest way to actually overcome future obstacles, so you can make wiser and way better decisions in the future. Okay. Well, sad but true, I'm going to have to leave it at this for now. But if this reading resonated, please feel free to join and subscribe to my channel. I want to thank you all so much for joining me. I love you guys incredibly. In a few days, or technically, the week after today, I will go back to my general reading. So I'm doing general and love. If you want a personal reading, I did upgrade my website, and I think the price list is on the project page of the website link, whatever it is, and stuff like that. So please feel free to check those out if you want a personal reading. But other than that, I love you guys incredibly. I think everything is going to work out well for you guys regarding today's reading. I love you guys incredibly, and best of luck. And I love you guys so very much. And take good care of yourselves.